Shalom, this is Hakam Ya'ar ben-Emmett again with an exciting edition of the Torah Watchman Show International LLC. Hope everyone's been well. I am so honored to welcome again the Hall family from the great state of Kentucky, none other than Scottie and Shelia Hall. Stand by to be inspired and to be excited. I appreciate your dialogue so much. I'm welcome to open up these Zoom sessions and discuss your path. Whatever the Lord leads you may not be leading me or other people. I know it's unique and it's a journey, and it should be unique because the Qara'ite Jews believe that the Torah reveals itself individually to both men and women. Both men and women read from the Bima and a Qara'ite shul, like a conservative shul. So we have that commonality and partnership with conservative Judaism since the 1967 war.
I appreciate all of this input because there's just so much that we learn. I mean, it's like every day I feel like we're learning more and more. And as I said before, we just feel really comfortable with the path that we're on, and I just think that to me it just seems such a pure path. The Cardi Judaism. It just seems like the pure path for me.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I had a momentarily disruption in the network. I noticed it went off record. So in summary and conclusion again, I don't know if you're taking meticulous notes. Maybe your son is doing that. But anyway, Judaism started in the late part of the 8th century, the early part, mid part of the 9th century. It's the oldest sect of Judaism by far. We are the first discoverers and the implementers of Masoretic text. Is very critical to understand how to pronounce the Torah, the Hebrew text you find in a Tanakh today, as it was rendered and understood to be true, going back 500 years BCE, 2,500 years ago, like the great Dead Sea Scroll, the Isaiah Scroll. So on display in Jerusalem today, it is 99% astute and perfect compared to reading Isaiah in an art scroll Tanakh in Hebrew. And it does not have any Masoretic text there at that time, which means the Masoretic text probably was done in just before, I would say 50, maybe 100 years before the Common Era. In that time, it's very important to understand it. I'm still learning it, and there's certain rules and syntax, but it's much easier to understand Hebrew than say Russian or Greek or French because the character set is much smaller. And I heard a rabbi said recently to encourage you to learn Hebrew that if you understand 1,000 words in Hebrew, you can understand 90% of the Torah. So that should be an encouragement there. Qara'ite Jews are a lot like every other Jew. We don't have as many political debates because we don't have these Talmudic circles where we go back and debate. We don't have yeshivas per se. Hakam, essentially an elder Qara'ite Jew who has known the Torah and read from the Torah many, many decades, probably an older person, gentleman. But the equality of sexes is in a Qara'ite shul, and that's the beauty of it. It's not a taboo for a Qara'ite woman to sing in the same sitting room as a Qara'ite man. Believe it or not, it's not considered a seduction like the Greek creature called a siren. You know, that's why even today in conservative Judaism, even at our shul, we get discussions why women should not read the Haftarah. Women should not read from Torah. You know why? It's not because they should not read, even though they went to women's yeshiva and they know the Hebrew as well as any man, it's because of the singing part. In Orthodox rabbinate circles, a woman is not allowed to sing in public with men there. When we used to go to an Orthodox shul, and this is just and funny, is that it was a non-religious event. We had a Jewish singer there. He had a small band there. They literally had a partition between the women and the men there in that Orthodox situation. Back in the years ago, in a really true Orthodox synagogue, they had women in the balcony. They had men at the base. in the congregation there. My wife and I visited a very large conservative shul one time in Baltimore when we first met each other. And the rabbi told me that used to be a Orthodox shul, and they had a big balcony there. Now, we don't have pipe organs in our shul like Reform shul do. I mean, we don't go that far. We don't make a lot of noise because, but as far as you're not even allowed to clap your hands in an Orthodox shul, it's strongly encouraged not to tap your hand on the table and make any sound. Why? Because on Shabbat and 39 Melachot, that's called a form of creative activity. Now, King David, righteous man, he composed all of Tehillim, right? The book of Psalms, and a lot of chapters in that book. And it was written to be sung with a musical instrument. When you read it, it says Salah and the breakout in these verses there, like Psalm 121. I memorized that, and in my 20s, I sing it. Hebrew is designed to be sung. So do you think King David sung 6 days out of the week and stopped singing or playing his musical instrument if God was speaking to him on Shabbat? So just think this out.
No.
Think this out.
Yeah.
King David took his kingly robes off. I saw, I think it's Richard Gere or whatever in King David. I love the movie. And he was dancing in the streets. A daughter of Saul who married him would despise him and thought it was embarrassing. He would do it like a child. He was so excited to bring in the Ark of the Covenant from Shiloh to Mount Moriah and that makeshift tent he had there. He was not allowed to build a temple, but he was so excited about that. That's why I'm so drawn to Nachman's. I don't know if anybody Nachman. I encourage you to go to YouTube. Great sounding music, Rabbi Nachman. They're the kindest, most gently souled. Their synagogue is outside a physical building. It's wherever people need to hear and be nurtured by the Torah. They go to the IDF troops on the border battle. They go out in the woods. They sing before the Lord. Rabbi Desser was a Nachman. He followed that. And he actually was almost like Martin Luther, the breakout in Protestantism from the Roman Catholic faith, and nailing that petition on the door of that Roman Catholic church. The same thing he did. He did not get along with these rigid, structuralist rabbis, in that you had to worship in tandem, almost like the Borg. We are the Borg. You hear these voices the same. Everyone's reading the same book in tandem, reading the same legalistic doctrine and the Talmudic tradition, and reading this, and a very long canon or book of a Siddur. My Sephardi Siddur is about this thick. My Qara'ism Siddur is this small because it doesn't have all that legalistic structure there. And they also have room for innovation. That's exciting. If you go into a shul, and if it's just the same thing, status quo, and the same routine, at least you know what's expected. But at time you go there almost brainless, and you go there. And even to Yom Kippur, in a book it said, you beat your chest here. You blow the shofar here. You blow the shofar this many times. Now, the shofar, again, was a golden ram's horn. And many Qara'ite Jews have that golden ram's horn in Israel. And they don't blow the shofar unless it says in the Torah, this is the time you blow the shofar. And they understood the Torah said that. Again, I think I told you last time we met. Don't allow any rabbi to tell you how to think and what to do. If you know what the Torah says and it causes a conflict in your conscience there, respect what he says, and maybe bring out a note or something. Go to Chabad and Google this, what Chabad said, but the Torah says this. But they say, yes, but Rabbi Rashi and his Mishnah Torah said this, okay? So respect tradition is who we are, good or bad, right? And we do our best, as we go along life's journey. I really commend you. You are heroes to me. Every B'nai Noach is a hero that they inspire me. I heard one rabbi said there are hundreds of thousands right now of B'nai Noach out in the world today. And it's increasing at a point that's causing a lot of Christians to tremble in their congressional pews.
Wow.
Any questions at all?
That's right.
I just want to make
Oh, that's
sure I
great.
recorded dialogue from you. I don't want to miss anything.
This has been wonderful. I mean, all
No,
of
I
our,
really appreciate it. I mean,
yeah, I do
it's
too.
it's not the easiest information to find, but
Yeah.
yet it's the simplest. So it's
Mhm.
common sense, is the way I see
Yeah.
it.
It is. Is
And
it?
we have felt from it.
That
Yeah.
is the methodology that Cardi Jews abide by. What is the most common
Mm.
sense, straightforward interpretation of the Ten Commandments, of the 613 mitzvot? When you read the Talmud, you may have hundreds and hundreds of different debates and opinions. Some of them are very highly agitated and in conflict. Like Ramban did not appreciate a lot of Rashi's interpretation. He disagreed with him all the time. And then it ends up after all this diatribe goes back to the Gemara. Gemara is the Babylonian Talmud. It's a group consensus, and it points directly back to the Torah. So you go through it's like a cat chasing his tail on a table endlessly until it falls off the table. So why go through all this diatribe of 50 Shades of Gray, of arguing and debating, if you come back to the Torah in the first place?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, and it sounds like a lot of what I was really hard on myself a lot of the time that I was in Christianity. And of course, when you come from the very strict form of Christianity and you're really hard on yourself already, um, and then you have, you have of course, the hell putting you in fire and brimstone, which now we know that that's not really all into not. But when you go from that, then I want to I had to kind of be careful because I had to unlearn a lot of that, and I definitely didn't want to go the other extreme and put so many things on myself that I made myself feel still bad about myself because I couldn't live up to every single opinion because there were so many out there. So I didn't
Mhm.
want to do that in Judaism either.
Yes,
And
go to a
with this,
Christian bookstore and look at how many books they have on the Trinity, on angels, and
Mhm.
hellfire.
yeah, and with this, it's like you made us very aware that there's the ultra orthodox and the orthodox, but I feel like with this walk, it's a peaceful walk, and as you said, it's common sense, it's peace, and um, it just feels pure and right and peaceful and not hard to understand, and and I feel like that I'm closer to my creator than I've ever been because I'm not putting this terrible stress on myself. And I'm afraid if I had too many fences, I would just do like I did in Christianity, where my self esteem just was really bad because I just never felt I could live up to that
Yeah.
standard.
Well,
So,
I did a video on hellfire. I'm not going to go into that, but hellfire, there's roughly is a place in Israel called Gehenna, and it's actually a
yeah,
place of sacrifice victims to the god of Moloch. Is a especially unclean area, and because of that word in Greek or whatever, it actually became something much more ominous in the New Testament. But Sheila, you just caused me to pause and remember something in Kitisa, the last parsha we had. And I did a video on that too. I hope you look at that. It actually is a great dialogue, almost like Abraham talking to God. When Moshe was appealing to the Jewish people, please don't wipe them out. Please don't wipe them out. If you wipe them out, strike my name from your book, namely the book of
yeah,
life there. And he said, I agree with you. Okay. I will not wipe out all of Israel, but I will send a plague, and the instigators of the violence and everything led up to the golden cow, they will perish with their lives, and their names will be stricken out of those books. That's the first
mm,
time I noticed that. So that means this is not some metaphysical thing. If God said it, if Moses referenced it, there is some sort of book. We talk about this in Yom Kippur all the time. Carter Jews believe the same thing. That when you're as a Jew, you're born in a Jew in your mother's womb, like Jacob and Esau, and there's mother's womb, and when their souls and an nefesh Yehudi were conceived at the very time, a soul and nefesh is allocated to them, their names are automatically written in that book. So based on our choices, like the Korah rebellion, literally God destroyed all the instigators, the coup against Aaron and Moshe, as you read about that, very epic civil war that was going on. It says that they were buried alive in a fiery chasm of the earth. Rashi goes in the Talmud and said, well, they were redeemed in about 11 or 12 months. And this is tradition and Kaddish and everything else too, that all souls are redeemable a period of time. They're cleansed. They don't know how they're cleansed. You read more about hell and divine punishment, all that in the Talmud than you do in the Torah. Again, Sheila and Scottie, you said it very well. Is Emma true? That how you live your life, what is your legacy?
Yeah.
What you leave to your child that is anchored in the Torah as much as you were, but if more, that is how you were remembered, and that's how God remembered you as a friend of God, as the obedient of God. That's why God does not focus on that. If you live your life, and God does not expect us to be perfect, He expects us to be sincere and contrite. He's given us a guilty conscience. Some people don't have a guilty conscience. They're pathological liars, but most people have a guilty conscience. Children deal with that too. I dealt with it with my daughter too. I was testing her. But just believe and have faith in what God says. If it's not in the Torah, it's not generation important for you to worry about today. It's that simple.
Yeah. It's true.
Well, did I leave you to yawns and time to go to bed, Lila Taub and all that?
Oh no.
I'm sorry
No,
for the
but we do.
network breakup.
I do feel a wonderful peace as you teach us, though. So that probably does relax us because it's like you can feel that wonderful
Well,
peace.
yeah, I mean, of all the sects that we've talked about, the Cardi is the most inviting. Whereas when you see the more of the Rabbinites and the Talmudists and stuff, there's always certain reasons that, well, you're not ready, or you can't do this, or you can't do that, or you weren't born this way or that way, and whatever. With the Karaite, it's just very inviting. It gives you a feeling from inside that says, yes, you can be accepted, you can learn, you can study, and you can grow.
Yeah.
I think it's very, very
Yeah.
open and very, like I said, inviting.
Hmm.
That's what an Orthodox rabbi told me. If your mother was not buried in a Jewish cemetery, and if her grandmother or Bubby or whatever did not light Shabbos candles, you're not Jewish. And that's their opinion. It comes from the Talmud. But something interesting. I don't know if you had any ancestry tests. I know a lot about genealogy and DNA and checking and things like that. Looking for Semitic gene clusters and things of that nature. My daughter, I wanted to make sure she's tested, make sure she's not a Martian or something. She thinks she's a unicorn sometimes. So I want her to have a genetic test. It was so surprising because I went to conservative Judaism for my conversion because I could not prove to the rabbi at that time to have a traditional Jewish marriage. I had to go to conversion. I was sure my father was Jewish, but again, conservative rabbis, most of them look at a Jewish mother too, so they conserve key portions of the Talmud as well, the Torah in that respect. But since then, my daughter had a genetic test. It showed her originating from Israel, but she had 13% ethnicity in Poland. And she had a lot of ethnicity Assyrian along the Mediterranean coast. Now, as you know, in mitochondrial DNA, I know I'm off topic, but it's very important. Mitochondrial DNA, when you do, especially a young girl, it's only the mothers, not the fathers. So what's interesting, she is 63% Jewish on her respective grandmother's side. So my wife may want to give her 100% ethnic Jewish, but she cannot. It's always 50%, 50% of my DNA and 50% of my wife's DNA. It's just like your son there. And the first time is that means at least, despite tradition, I feel in my heart about being born Jews and all this, I know there's at least 13% of Semitic Jewish bloodlines and my mother and my bubbies on my father's side and my mother's side. And that was really remarkable to find out. My wife is also having the same kind of genetic test, and I'll share your results over the next few weeks.
Interesting.
It's a sanity
We've
check.
had the
It's a sanity check. I can't tell my father that. He thinks I'm crazy. And
we've had
rabbis
the
don't care about
ancestors.
genetic tests unless they're looking for the descendant of the priest Zadok.
Oh,
Yeah.
Maybe next time we'll meet in Zoom, we'll just tell a bunch of jokes, right?
There you go.
we know a rabbi. Well, we know of him and have seen his posts and stuff that's got the Zadok last name, Ariel Bar Zadok. You know him? We don't really know him personally, but a friend of ours had us following him. But that's the only one I've ever seen with that name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The priest Zadok lived in the time of King Solomon.
Oh.
Remember the Levitical bloodline was severed in the priest Eli because of the conduct of his sons and the conduct of himself. Actually, it was severed. And then it started the bloodline of Zadok. So whoever the Mashiach is, and I believe he's probably here today, and God has not told him to reveal himself yet. There's also an equal descendant of the priest Zadok, because he's going to be the one that's going to officiate all animal sacrifices again in the new temple. Qara'ite Jews believe all of this. We believe in resurrection of the dead. We believe in the Mashiach, the promise of Mashiach. Mashiach is mentioned 29 times in the Tanakh, but it doesn't mean the Messiah that like Jesus claimed to be is more of a Nasi, a prince per se, but Mashiach today is more contemporary to refer to the descendant of King David, the Davidic monarchy formed again, reestablished Jerusalem. That's how we use those words.
Okay.
I wish you good night. Thank you for your attention span. Fantastic.
Sorry about all the coughing.
Yeah. We
I
had
can't
a
get rid of it.
big lunch today. I'm not hungry. It's my wife's birthday, so I had to be a good soldier today. I opened a lot of doors today.
Well, I hope she had a wonderful birthday or has
I
the
think
rest
she
of it.
did. I think she did. So it's a
Beautiful.
joke. My wife was born in a leap year, so she's against the Gregorian calendar for March 16th, but she's actually was born in Adar 2. So she's actually 9 years old this year, based on the Hebrew calendar and minus out leap years. So what reality you want to live in?
I've heard people
Take
like
care.
they're born on February.
Thank
you so much. We sure
Take care.
appreciate
Signing
it.
off. Please blog. And I will, if you have an important thing on your soul you want to talk to, please let's share it together. We can keep it private. Don't have to record everything.
Thank you.
We
We
need to
sure
give you a
appreciate it.
non-disclosure form or something before we do this continually. So you don't sue
We
me.
tell people all the time about how kind that you've been to us and how attentive and how much it meant to us because we really felt quite isolated living in Kentucky with a church on every corner. And, we have one family that studies with us, but they're not even really exactly in the same mindset as we are. So it means so much to us that we have had this connection with you and your family. And we are very appreciative of I know you're very busy and we appreciate that you answer our questions.
I do have a lot of videos about Qara'ite history. I encourage you to go and search for them. There's a lot of good information there based on the books I've read.
Will
Okay.
do.
Will you take
Thank you.
care? God bless you. Shalom
Bless
Aleichem.
you.
Well.
If you've enjoyed this program, please click like and subscribe.